Now, we talked briefly on a specific topic. You and I, we talked about transparency in information, and now transparency is becoming more and more of a hotter topic. I think, and why is that? Is because when cities and municipalities or government, for that matter, comes back to the citizens saying, "Hey, I want more money." Well, the citizen at some point is going to say, "What are you doing with it?" And to
Yes.
figure out what are you doing with it, we need to get some information out. And if I look at the process currently, it's basically designed to be under, it's out there. People can dig and find out, and the information is available. I know somebody's going to say, "Well, the information is out there." Yeah, not that obvious though. You need to make it more obvious. The debt clock in New York. That thing that keeps. They put it up on a building. Everybody can see
Yeah.
it. I wish we have something that we can say, okay, so here's what we collected, here's what we spent, here's the projects that we're working on, and here's how we're doing against budget. Why not share that information with the citizens, so the citizens can feel that there's something being done with their money and we're spending the money in the right way. Like, not come back every year and say I need 10% or 9% or whatever the number we settle at in 2026. That's not something that's going to sit well with people.
I agree. So transparency is a really, really, it's the cornerstone. So I like to put it this way. For democracy to work, there has to be trust. Trust between the people and the elected representatives. And how do you make that trust happen? By being transparent. So transparency is absolutely 5,000% critical to a successful democracy. The challenge is that what governments do is they do one of two things really well. Either they give you no information or they give you a lot of information. So they bury you with so much information that the average person doesn't have the time to go through. And our budget book is an excellent example. Publicly, this budget book has, I don't know, I think it runs into 3 volumes, and each volume is 200 pages, like 600 pages of data dump. But it really doesn't give you the level of detail that someone might want. If somebody wanted to know, how much money is being spent at my branch library, like how much is my library and my local branch cost, it's very hard to get that number. 600 pages, but you're not going to get that number. So we need to do a better job of providing information. I mean, you could do an FOI, you could do a freedom of information and get some of that information, but it shouldn't be that hard. This is your money and my money and the taxpayers' money. And for those who are interested, there should be an easier way for people to know, in an easy to follow way. Like, this is what, even me as a counselor, I'd be very curious to know X branch versus Y branch. Like, what is the operating cost? Are there lessons to be learned from each other? Is one operating more efficiently than the other? But if we don't get that level of detail, that's one. And that's why the Auditor General is so important. Keep coming back, because the Auditor General's job is to do value for money audits and to say, if you're spending, for example, if Mississauga had an Auditor General and this transit app money had passed, that Auditor General could have then looked at it and said, why is the city spending $7 million on another app when free apps are available? So even if council didn't catch it, the Auditor General would have caught it. And this is just a small example, right? So the Auditor General, to me, is the critical part of ensuring transparency. And that's why I am so, so happy that now the region of Peel, which is a bigger government than Mississauga, but I do believe that Mississauga also should have an Auditor General, and hopefully in the next few years we'll make that happen. But right now, focused on the region of Peel.